I'm Rhidian Brook. I'm the author of Notes on an Execution, Lenten Reflections on the Last Days of Jesus. About 3 years ago, I was invited to preach Holy Week at York Minster. I was living in Jerusalem at the time, and I had just been on the Palm Sunday march with about 5,000 people walking from the Mount of Olives down through to the Old City. And I remember thinking at the time how exciting it was and how extraordinary it must have been to have been there at the time, in the moment, but without knowing what happens next. Of course, we all know what happens next. We have the advantage of hindsight and history and theology and art and music and liturgy. But the disciples who are following Jesus on that walk in those last days really didn't have any of that. And what that must have felt like, I was really intrigued by. And so I set out to write an account which was almost like holding a shaky camera from a slight distance, as though I'm a sort of third collective disciple following in the footsteps of Jesus, right from Palm Sunday through to the events of the crucifixion and Easter, to immerse myself and hopefully my reader in what that experience must have felt like to have been there, the tension of not knowing, and the excitement, and also the sort of the fear as well that must have been the disciples must have felt as that week unfolded, without really knowing anything of what was going to happen. And that's really what I have set out to do in Notes on Execution, and I invite you to join me this Easter, this Lent, for the last days of Jesus, and experience them in a new way, a fresh way, perhaps a way you haven't experienced before.